As we leave turn one and head into turn two, we're gonna do a little step back, talk some NFL. We have a special guest who might be coming on soon. We're really excited about that. But Rutledge, I beat you so bad in the Super Bowl picks that you had a tough time showing your face. So I'm giving you the chance, and I'm giving our viewers and listeners the chance to kind of give a few last thoughts on the Super Bowl as well as a few thoughts moving forward. So, how surprised were you?
I was really surprised. It was a 31-9 game. Um, you know, the Kansas City Chiefs were my early in the season. They're going to be a really big deal pick. I thought this is the team. You got to follow them. This is who it's going to be. But to take that team that looks so good against Buffalo, kind of push their way through the season, and get them put up against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, which had the names we recognized, but it finally seemed like they clicked. I mean, I'm happy for Tampa. Tom Brady had a really good showing. Their defense, which looked incredible against Green Bay, did exactly the same thing they did to Green Bay. Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs were uncomfortable. They didn't play like themselves. So it reminded me, it really kind of reminded me of watching Peyton Manning's last win of the Super Bowl when they played the Colts, and how the Carolina Panthers and Cam Newton, they had this explosive offense and he was MVP and everyone thought they were going to be something. Then they got stacked up against just a really good defense with a really good quarterback and they got absolutely mauled. So I thought it was a big deal. Connor, what about you?
Yeah, I mean, I think the biggest surprise, right, is that the Chiefs did not come out in the second half and overcome their deficits and their deficiencies, right? Within the Super Bowl last year, the Chiefs Super Bowl run last year, we had a big, every week it was like they were down a lot and had a ton of problems that they just kept on overcoming and overcoming. Um, I don't think that this has a lot to do with Patrick Mahomes necessarily on the game. So I would say the biggest surprise was just the lack of the Chiefs being able to overcome a Bucks pass rush. Being, the Chiefs couldn't overcome having backup offensive linemen in their blocking, and just a good solid game plan by Brady and the Bucks. So I would say that is the biggest surprise. The biggest surprise looking back at the game. I think moving forward, I think I think that, and especially as it relates to the Chiefs, it is difficult. Like, it's difficult to get to that game, right? Like,
Mm-hmm.
as a Seahawks fan, Russell Wilson got to that second Super Bowl, and you know there's always the yearly anniversary of the day that the Seahawks should have run the ball. And Russell Wilson's put up a ton of great stats and been on some good teams, and they just haven't been able to put it together. So you got to strike while the iron's hot. And, man, I remember in the first half, even pointing out to my wife, there was a play where Patrick Mahomes was falling down on his back, flicked the ball 40 yards with his wrist, and it fell out of Tyreek Hill's hands in the end
Mm-hmm.
zone for the touchdown. And I'm like, like that's an important play. So I think for Mahomes, I don't think that's necessarily going to be a big deal. I think for the Chiefs, any team that gets there and loses it, I mean, you never know if you're going to get the injury bug for next season. There's just so many things you don't know moving forward.
So, to bring up something we talked about in one of our previous shows, which for everyone out there, we have all of our previous content on YouTube. So, you should check out our previous shows. And this is a highlight. Connor, you brought up the question of Patrick Mahomes' legacy if he beats Tom Brady. So, what does this kind of show about Patrick Mahomes for them to dominate so much and then for them to dominate through the season and then to get this dominated? What does that make him look like?
Immortal,
Yeah.
not immortal. Yeah, I mean, he's, yeah, just like any quarterback who's playing from their back, right? You can't. And I think that the way the big piece is gonna be, okay. It's not just overcoming adversity within the course of a quarter or a game, but it's overcoming adversity, right? Champagne problems. Okay, you got punched in the mouth in the Super Bowl, but how you overcome that adversity going into the off season going into next season and things like that. So, what's Patrick Mahomes going to do moving forward? I know they've backed up the proverbial Brinks truck to him, but like you can massage those numbers to get players, right? So, what's Patrick Mahomes going to do to work his contract to get the players in to be successful while still getting paid enough, whatever that number is? Not disputing over any amount anybody makes, but there's a salary cap, and you always have to be cognizant of that. So, I think the reason why we can't talk about Patrick Mahomes' career right now is the reason why when Tim Tebow was leaving college and he put out his first book and everybody was looking at me sideways why I didn't read Tim Tebow's first book is that the story's not written yet. We're mid-book. We're really in the early book for Mahomes. So I think this is the end of a chapter, and I think to watch him take that next step is to really see what happens when he's got an off season to deal with, adversity, kind of getting punched in the mouth, and then seeing what happens from there.
Absolutely.
So now I know we've been talking a lot about Mahomes, but what does this mean for Brady?
Well, before we get into Tom Brady, I would like to say that the way that Tom Brady celebrated the Super Bowl in Tampa is the exact same way I would celebrate winning a Super Bowl in Tampa. So I know that he's been getting a little flack, and some people have not liked it. I thought it was incredible. I thought he had a good time. I see Tom Brady's just going to keep going. They have a lot of people with contracts ending. What are they going to do with that? I know, Connor, you have some takes on that, but I think Brady should stay. I think Brady should be in there. He strikes as the type of guy, I told the Julian Edelman story once of that. He's never paid Julian Edelman because he keeps losing bets. So I don't see someone he doesn't seem like a John Elway who dominated and is going to walk away. He's going to come back and try to repeat. And the NFC South, especially with Drew Brees rumored to retire, is a very wide open conference right now to where you can cruise your way into the playoffs.
Yeah, no, I think absolutely Tom Brady should stay. And for anybody who's tuning in live right now on Twitch, would love to hear some of y'all's thoughts. What is he? He's getting paid 25 million next year. Maybe he takes a little bit of a pay cut. Maybe he signs an extension and shifts some money around like he's done, but maybe he doesn't. I don't know. I think one of the nice parts about Tom Brady is he is not the number one earner in his family. So it is not on him to bring home all of the bacon. I think that the interesting thing is Arians is really good for Brady at this point in his career. Arians is a guy who, will give Brady a rest day and, not exactly known for the grinder. What is it? Cocktails at 5 for Bruce Arians, while Bill Belichick is in his 4th hour of special teams film at 5:00. I think the big thing to watch with Brady, because he had to build rapport with Byron Leftwich, is to see what happens with Byron Leftwich. I think that could be an interesting story to follow. I know we talked a lot about folks on the Chiefs roster or their coaching staff, Eric Bieniemy, Matt Kafka.
Matt Kafka.
But I mean, hey, Byron Leftwich is an offensive coordinator for a team that scored a ton of points and won a Super Bowl. And even the years before with Jameis, I mean, he was still doing some good stuff. So that'll be an interesting story to follow. I would hope that Brady would talk to Leftwich and say, hey, let's get let's try to run this back. But no, I don't think Tom Brady needs anybody to motivate him. So I think Tom Brady just needs a guy to help facilitate a football team, and that's Bruce Arians. And for Tom to be the main motivator and his presence to really make a big impact on that team.
Yeah, Bruce Arians really he had a quote early in the seasons where he said they started letting Brady coach, and they're embracing this sort of wise old man to group up together this younger guys, especially on the defensive side of the ball, to keep them going. So it seems like Tom is almost turning into a LeBron James, to where he's a player's coach, but he's still working and still playing, still grinding and getting it done. So we'll see what they do for contract negotiations. Do they bring back Antonio Brown? Does Gronk play another season? Does Leonard Fournette play another season? But still, kudos to them. It was amazing to see them bring it together. I know I was surprised.
No doubt, dude. Speaking of players moving, I remember texting you after some breaking news from Houston. I think, and it's like, is everybody just, what's going on down in Houston, man? First we had Deshaun Watson, now JJ Watt wanting to leave Houston and requesting his release. What do you think about that?
I think also you got to bring up James Harden also leaving the city. I feel bad for the city of Houston. No one wants to live there anymore. Maybe it's the traffic. I've heard Houston is growing like crazy. Here's something interesting I pulled off of NFL.com, Connor, is that there are 9 teams that are a possible landing spot for JJ Watt. I'm going to kind of go down with them, and I want your sort of takes. I have one that I think is going to happen. I have one that I don't want to happen, and then I have one I would love to see. But the teams are the Steelers, the Cowboys, the Packers, the Titans, the Bills, Browns, Ravens, Seahawks, and the Rams. So everyone on this, some have more cap space than others. Some would have to make some adjustments and stuff. There are some teams where he glues in, but who is I would love to see this happen for him to land somewhere.
We're going to agree on this, Rutledge. And the color brown has been moving up in my favorite colors over the course of this season. If the Browns could figure out a way to get JJ Watt along with Myles Garrett and, not have to lose one of their big offensive players, that could be a ton of fun. And the Browns would definitely take a gigantic step forward and really take that defense into incredibly elite level and just have a lot of fun personalities. I think in some ways, Myles Garrett might not get along with JJ Watt, and that would make for really interesting television. Or JJ Watt and Baker Mayfield. I think the blue collar mentality that JJ brings could odd to say Cleveland Browns have flashy players, but they kind of do. There could be some, along with just a lot of talented players, could have some interesting personality clashes that could be really fun to watch.
I'm with you. I love the thought of him going to Cleveland. They have this just grit, love our city, love who we are, get after it vibe. They're really hyped in on who they are. He would also, I think, be good for just the city of Cleveland with all the humanitarian work that he likes to do for what city he's a part of. I really love the feel of JJ Watt going to Cleveland. You bring up a really solid point, though. There are a lot of personalities. So, is Baker Mayfield going to like that JJ Watt is going to be talking about clean eating in the locker room while Baker Mayfield is drinking his post-practice shake along with his Bud Light as he walks out of the locker room, or according to all the TV commercials, walks into his living room? Is he gonna mesh well? Who knows, right? So
Who knows? And we our special guest star. We gotta ask him what he thinks about this when he comes on here just in a quick moment. But
perfect timing.
Who's someone that you really don't want? Who's one of those teams that you really don't want to see JJ Watt go to?
I don't want to see him go to the LA Rams. It feels like they have to do some work for him to go. And this is once again as a Seahawks fan, speaking in a fan base, which makes me a horrible sports broadcaster. But it would be really good for the Rams if they pick him up, because the Rams have Matt Stafford, who is, in my opinion, a better quarterback than Jared Goff. They'll probably make some moves to support Stafford in the draft. To have Aaron Donald, who I love that Aaron Donald's number is 99, because that's what he wants all of his Madden rankings to be, is 99. And have him, I guess, who would wear 99 between the two of them? Him next to JJ Watt will be an absolute murder system. So as a fan, it would be hard to watch. As someone who has a love for the game and seeing a good football team go together, imagine a defense that's Jalen Ramsey, JJ Watt, Aaron Donald, with a power offense with Sean McDermott as a coach. They would be very hard to deal with. So I really wouldn't want to see that. What about you?
Real briefly, the Cowboys. JJ Watt's really good, but can be overhyped. I think that if JJ Watt went to the Cowboys, that would just take that hype train into orbit. But with that, we might have Justin Herbert on the line.
Oh, if we have Justin Herbert on the line, this is incredible.
But we might have somebody almost as good, if not probably better than Justin Herbert. You ready?
So it's not Justin Herbert.
Let's see.
There he is. Look at
And
him.
We're here.
friend of the
Man.
show,
Can you hear me?
Daniel Mogg. How you doing, man?
Are we live right now?
We are live right
on
now.
Twitch.
Oh wow. First
It's
time.
First time. What's
Well, I
up,
guess
Daniel?
First time with Rutledge.
Yeah. So good to see you. Good to have you. To all of us out there podcast wise, this is our golden friend of the show, Daniel Mogg. He's made some guest appearances. He watches, he comments, and now you're out here and jumping in. We're going to do some football talk tonight, Daniel. So how are you? How is Seattle?
I'm still waiting for merch.
So wait, we're working on it, right? 2021
Okay.
is a long time. We have to come up with sayings. I want a t-shirt that says slants never fail based off my very complex Madden game calling.
I know one slant that failed. Still hurts me to this day.
I actually brought that up like 5 minutes ago. That there's a yearly anniversary of the time that a ball should have been thrown, or a ball should have been run. Pardon me.
It should have been ran. Yeah.
And that's
Yeah.
the shortest guest spot on Friend Stream Sports. Make sure you subscribe to us on Twitch and follow us on YouTube.
Well, dude, you
No,
were
I'm a
you
big-
were down in Tampa for the Super Bowl. Were you on one of those boats? Did Tom try to throw you a Lombardi trophy?
Were you filming the
was.
Snapchat content?
I tried all my contacts to see if I could get a credential to get on those boats, but it was pretty strict this year, unfortunately. I would have loved to have been a fly on the wall or a content capturer to be on one of those Super Bowl parade boats. That's for sure.
You should have pitched it as you were an avocado tequila vendor and that you could get on a boat.
I know. I just ran out of resources there, so I guess I didn't have as much pull as I thought.
Was it avocado, tequila, or Zima? I've heard that be thrown around a little bit.
I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if we see some avocado tequila rolling out on the shelves here shortly.
Oh,
Also,
my
Tom Brady has been in the league a long enough time to where he probably does get down with some Zimas. He probably is a
yes.
Zima guy.
I don't know if you guys watched Colin Cowherd today, but he did say if you win 7 Super Bowls, you can wear your hat backwards. Brady earned that right. So
Whoa!
Wow.
yeah.
That is huge.
And
for
that's a
Colin
hard and
Cowherd.
fast rule.
That's a very hard and fast calling rule for sure.
But well, Daniel, man, we're so pumped to have you with us here this evening. Want to hear from you. We heard a thing you weren't able to get to in terms of that boat parade, but any fun Super Bowl stories this year in Tampa that it maybe is a little different, but that wasn't necessarily a bad thing from previous Super Bowls.
Like, were you
Yeah,
weekend dancer number 47?
I was not. It was actually really fun. I haven't been a spectator at a game in a long time. Maybe since college, Connor's college games was the last time I was a spectator at a football game. So just to go for the first time, as
Mighty
a
Wheaton
fan was,
Thunder.
yeah, exactly. So just to go as a fan for the first time in a while was just really fun, just to kind of relax, take in the atmosphere. And that to me is, I've been blessed and fortunate to go to 5 Super Bowls now. And the pregame atmosphere at a Super Bowl is like unlike any other sporting event I've been to. Just the buzz, the anticipation beforehand. And I was kind of curious before how that would go, obviously being limited capacity, but the juice was still there. And I would say being the Bucks being the hometown team, just the buzz and electricity in the stadium was fantastic beforehand.
Was there anybody at the taco truck? I know the taco truck is a Tampa tradition.
I did not go to the taco truck this trip. It was they had like blocked off all of the stadium for the most part. So you pretty much just rolled up, and there was no, at least on an NFL official parking lot, there was no tailgating allowed. I think fans were doing it at the some of the stores and whatnot across the street, but it was pretty tight compared to I'd say a normal NFL game or even a Super Bowl.
Okay.
No doubt. Well,
Very cool.
Well, there you go, man. Super fun. I know you spent some time down in Tampa, so it's probably fun to be at some places and be like, oh, there is, this high profile person that I usually just see on TV at a place that I used to go hang out at a lot when I lived in Tampa.
Yeah, we did. We did run into Shaq, which was pretty cool.
That's cool.
Good.
Ironically, we were walking and I was like, "Oh man, that's Shaq," and my wife Lainey was like, "I missed him." I was like, how do you miss him? He's literally probably one of the largest human beings on the planet. So that we got a nice laugh and a kick out of that. But I would say the one big bummer of this Super Bowl one, knowing how much time I spent in Tampa looking forward to going home, was that it just wasn't quite the same from that standpoint, as far as maybe the star-studdedness that you see at a regular Super Bowl. Because literally most of the time, wherever you're walking in that city, you run into somebody.
That's awesome.
For sure. Well, speaking of large humans, we did have one more question we wanted to ask you. We've been talking about J.J. Watt, who is another rather large human.
Yes.
And the stars are not very bright in Houston right now. That's for sure. That's one way to put it.
Yeah, Houston, we have a problem.
But I'm gonna read you some teams,
Okay.
and I will want to hear from you just as a fan. What's a team that you would love to see JJ Watt go to, and what's a team where you go, I'm not into that at all. All right, so I'm going to read you some team names here. This is off
Just
of NFL.com.
as a fan of the team, as based on the team that I root for, or this is more objectively?
Yes.
I'll be honest, my take was 100% subjective of where I don't want him to go. And I think when you hear the list, I bet you can guess where I said as a Seahawks fan.
Okay.
All right. So this is a 3-part question. What you want, what you don't want, and what did Rutledge say?
Okay.
So we've got Steelers, Cowboys, Packers, Titans, Bills, Browns, Ravens, Seahawks, Rams.
Well, I think there's a couple different scenarios. First, I'll answer your question as a fan. Would love to see him on the Seahawks. I think that the pass rushing, that element, maybe I don't know how they could afford him and Carlos Dunlap. That's a question for John Schneider, but if you have two of those guys on your edge, can't imagine that's a bad pass rush. I would say from a Hollywood storybook ending, going to Pittsburgh to play with his brother, I think would be pretty fantastic. And for me as a fan, keeping him in the AFC is always a good thing. I know there's been a lot of talk about him going to the Packers. He's a Wisconsin guy, all that. Would definitely not want to see him on the Packers. The Packers pass rush has given the Seahawks enough trouble the last couple of years, and just adding someone like him to the mix would not be ideal. So I don't know. He's a great player. I had the fortunate time to interview him once, and he was just super great, fantastic guy. So I haven't spent a whole lot of time with him, but based on like kind of what you see from the outside, he definitely seems like the guy that he is, which is always great to hear.
Awesome. Well, I was sad that the Raiders weren't on that list, but
yeah.
There was a shout out to getting him to Cleveland.
That'd be really cool.
Cleveland?
Yeah.
I mean, him and Myles Garrett on that line would be pretty fantastic.
Oh yeah.
I don't know. Where do you guys? What did you guys say?
We both said we want him to go to Cleveland. Connor said he does not want to see him go to Dallas because of the star factor that the Cowboys have. I said I do not want to see J.J. Watt end up in Los Angeles.
Agreed.
Next to Aaron Donald, because especially
Agreed.
with all the conversation that Russell Wilson has had with offensive line, which has been an issue in Seattle for the past couple of years, that would, besides them splitting who wears number 99, I think they would split who plays pancake with Russ, and that would make for a very long season.
Have you guys talked about the Russell Wilson, Dan Patrick comments yet?
We have not gotten into the Russell Wilson, Dan Patrick. I will give my take as someone, and I'd love to hear your take, Daniel. So as someone who's followed Russ through his career, and at least from a fan standpoint, feels like I understand with him, Russell Wilson's a very competitive individual who just wants to do really well all the time. He's a very professional athlete, which is something that I appreciate about him. He's a great franchise person, and he seems to love the brand that he represents. He's always shouts out to the Wisconsin, he always shouts out to Seattle. With his competitiveness and who he is and how he likes to succeed in anything he does, thus was his involvement with the Sounders. I think he's just getting frustrated in the sense that he's not able to compete at the way he is, and the offensive line thing in Seattle is fairly obvious to everybody. So the media tried to spin it as Russell wants out of Seattle. He's like Deshaun Watson. He wants to go somewhere else. I take it as more as kind of like when Matt Nagy with the Bears came out and said, we're way better at this than we are. That's Russell just trying to motivate John Snyder and Pete Carroll and company to fix it. So what do you have from your perspective?
I would say that's pretty much spot on. I would say on the football side, I mean, we don't really talk about that stuff. That's way out of my realm of expertise. But I would say all of those things, at least especially on the competitive side, I would agree with that take. And to me, I was proud of him for, he is the guy that kind of gives the politically correct answer. And I think you've seen really in this last year, him be more comfortable with, be more public about his opinions, whether it's on the political side with, Black Lives Matter, social justice that he did last year, which ultimately was a big part of him winning Man of the Year this last year. And then, with that on the football side. So I didn't really see it as much different as either when you're in a job or a relationship and say, hey, like we could improve on this. Yeah. It's not saying I'm quitting my job or leaving my relationship. It's just, the facts are the facts. So, but I think like you said, the competitive side, I would 100% agree with that. And Russ, like he wants to be the greatest ever. And so with that comes hard conversations and different things. So I was super proud of him.
That's awesome.
And so much, and you've seen this, Daniel, following, on the NFL side for a couple of years, to win a Super Bowl, so much has to go right.
So much.
The amount, we were talking about, in terms of Patrick Mahomes, right? What does this do for him? It just proves he's immortal, just like everybody else.
Yes.
But for the Chiefs, it's like, you have all this to go right to get back to a Super Bowl, and then then you see the Bucks, and you can put whatever reason why. It's just so hard to get the stars to align. You could have 10 out of 10 things right, and 3 injuries hit, and a play call gets mixed up, and you're out. Easy as that. So I could definitely see. Yes, Russ has been a company man for a long time. Not to say he's still not a quote company man, kind of saying the things he needs to say, but guys are competitive, and
yeah,
Russ now has had a long, the beginning, right, winning that Super Bowl, then getting back to it. He has, I'm sure, seen and felt and feels, man, how hard it is, not just from himself personally, but also to get the rest of the team right. It's why football is such a great team game, is you need so many things, all the players on the same page, and so many things to go right. So, definitely proud of him. It's that's one of the things in following sports in Europe and America, right? The American sports stars usually don't give the good answers. But it was fun to hear Russ just kind of say, hey, here's where we're at. And, as you said, right, not to say good, bad, or the other, but here's how we could probably get a little better.
No, and I think to go back to even how we started this conversation at the Super Bowl is, like, to me, it was amazing what the Bucs did. Like, brand new team, no OTAs, nothing. And for whatever reason, that the feel in that stadium was like Tom Brady, the Bucs, like, we're not gonna lose that game. So, actually, I had picked them to win before, and so it was crazy to think all the hype before and to actually see it happen. And then with that, I was reading on Peter King this morning how say the play from last year's Super Bowl, the Wasp play, say that goes wrong and the 49ers win, and like this whole Chiefs dynasty, everything like talk could be just a completely different conversation right now. So you're totally right. So many things, have to happen for you to win a Super Bowl. And even think about, it's been what, like 6 or 7 years since the Seahawks went, and that was a team that you thought was going to go on a run. So it's just, I think that's why people love the game so much, because the turnover, the parity is just so high.
Nice. Well, Daniel, before we end off our NFL segment here, and thanks so much for joining us as always. Want to hear your way too early Super Bowl picks for next year.
Way too early Super Bowl picks.
Like right now, before JJ Watt lands with what's going on, who do you got, Daniel? Who are we going to Vegas with?
Obviously Seahawks in the NFC for sure.
No doubt.
I'm never gonna not pick them. As far as the opponent, man, that's a tough one. There's so many. I think the Chiefs are the obvious favorite, but I don't want to pick the obvious. I'm gonna go Seahawks Bills in next year's Super Bowl.
That's really big.
I think Bills are pretty good. And there is one last question before I go, which I've never gotten the answer to this. Rutledge, how are you a Seahawks fan? I've never gotten to ask you that.
So we can go off script for that. So I'm actually from Vancouver, Canada. So that's where
you're Canadian.
Born.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, I am half Canadian, and I was born in Vancouver, Canada. And in the my family had season tickets to the Kingdome back when the Seahawks played indoors.
So you're an OG.
I am an OG fan, so much so that I'm rooted in Seahawks. The play where Bo, help me out, Connor, famous Auburn running back, I just blanked on his name.
Jackson.
For the Raiders. Thank you, Bo Jackson. When Bo Jackson ran all over the Kingdome, including running over NFL draft bus, Brian the Bosworth.
Yes.
That was within a week of my birthday. So that's my claim back into Seahawks in the blood. So I'm a huge Seahawks fan just by proximity of living there in Canada. And we were there, when the Seahawks were bad, when they were even worse, when Mike Holmgren started, watched them do that run in Georgia where I had to explain to people what the Seahawks were because no one knew what they were.
Yeah.
So been a Seahawks fan forever. So to watch them win the Super Bowl in a dominating fashion was incredible.
Have you been to a game out here, like recently?
I went the last time. So obviously I've been to a lot of Kingdome games, including when one of my dad's friends dropped me on my head and I landed on the bleachers. The refs noticed my cry.
Those were hard bleachers.
They were hard bleachers, man. The Kingdome was loud. And I went to the stadium before it was CenturyLink, so the last sponsor.
Okay.
So
Old Quest Field.
Old Quest Field. Back in the OG Quest Field days, and we were playing, I remember we were walking in, and it was Donovan McNabb and the Eagles when they were hot. And it was Eagle Seahawks in Quest Field. And I remember looking at one of my friends, I was like, yeah, I'm really excited. I think we have a shot at this. And the lady next to me in all Seahawks everything went, we have no shot in hell, but go Hawks, and just walked in. So
just crushing dreams over here.
Just crushing dreams. But that was back in the Quest Field days when it was just as loud. It rained all game. We were soaked. We were cold, but that was awesome. So I haven't been recently. I have not been since we've switched over uniforms and seen Russ in person. I want to go.
Oh, so Connor hasn't been to a game either, so maybe we can do a Friends Stream Sports weekend out here in Seattle. Hopefully, knock on wood, we have fans back this year.
Friends Stream Sports, Friends Live.
Right? Yeah,
we're down.
Perfect.
We are on Facebook now, so it's much easier to go Facebook Live. And make that happen.
Can we be on the Danger podcast?
Yeah, let's do it.
Hiya! We haven't recorded.
Let's do it.
I promise I'll behave.
I promise I will also behave.
I just want to see Connor just get in with the lineman for a couple snaps, just get him out the training camp.
Oh my gosh. Would Russell do a snap with me?
I don't know. We can maybe get that. We can see.
Can I go work out with DK? I just want to see if DK can hang in the iron house.
That's a different level. I might pay to watch that.
Did you ever, Daniel, off topic, did you see the meme that was DK Metcalf with a picture next to Hot Rod Blankenship, the kicker for the Colts? And it said the NFL is a wide variety sport.
Yes. That's why you got to love it.
That's why you got to love it.
there was
Yeah,
a
what?
Sylvester. We're getting way off topic, but that's okay.
That's
There was
me.
a Sylvester Stallone quote. I think it was either Sylvester or Arnold who said, "You've never done a set of curls until you've thrown up doing a set of curls." And I feel like DK Metcalf is somebody who could embrace that quote.
Yeah, we should make that a shirt for him.
That would be a
Probably rip
shirt.
it off though.
I feel like working out with DK, the first thing he would say is, all right, make sure you swallow the throw up and then give me 10 more.
That'd be pretty
Yes.
funny.
So, Connor,
right.
what's your Super
thanks,
Bowl
guys.
pick?
Daniel, thank
Yeah. What are your guys' picks before I head out here?
real quick, you got to stay on for our Super Bowl picks.
Yes.
I'm going Bucks. One of my things is when someone is hot and has it going on, I don't pick against that person until they aren't around anymore. So
Okay.
Tom Brady's on top, staying Bucks. Versus here's to warm us up for some halftime hot takes. Dolphins.
Ooh.
Oh, that's
okay.
hot.
I think
Okay.
they take a massive step. I think Tua takes a massive step forward. I think, they always play hard. They're getting better players, and they have 2 first-round and 2 second-round draft picks this year, so they can draft some immediate impact guys. And it's not like the AFC East is incredibly difficult. And minus the Bills. Dolphins will probably have to come in as a wild card, but New England's still going to be down. Jets are probably still going to be down. So I could definitely see the Dolphins taking a massive step forward and challenging and getting to the Super Bowl.
It's a good pick.
I'm going to keep my AFC pick out of the AFC East and saying the Buffalo Bills are going to go all the way. They're going to be back. This Chiefs loss made them human, and I think the Bills team, this year we watched them, they seem like they're getting there. The fan in me wants to see the Seahawks go. Try to be objective, not say Seahawks for everything sports minor broadcaster. I'm picking the Rams. I really like the Matt Stafford trade. I think Sean McVay is going to be, if you look at the strange coaching carousel and the strange dynamics that was in Detroit and what Stafford was able to accomplish, even after having Calvin Johnson, who's an incredible receiver, walk away, and he was able to hold it together. I think being with an organization and a coaching staff that can piece stuff together will work. If they add J.J. Watt, it's going to be awful. I don't want to see that happen at all. But so the Seahawks fan, I'd love to see my Hawks go to the Super Bowl. I think the Rams are going to be tough in the NFC East, or the NFC West. So I have Bills, Rams.
I was that trade. It made me a little concerned. Not gonna lie. I think. Yeah.
Yeah. Made you see some question marks, and that ESPN notification came through. He said, that's not good.
Yeah, I think Stafford's good. I think, in the short term, it's great for them. Maybe not the best long-term trade, but they're definitely all in right now.
When have the Rams been worried about the long term?
That is true.
They are continually just doing the short-term thing, which they're at least staying interesting.
Yeah. It's an interesting way to do it. That's for sure. Maybe they're the next team that wins the LA Super Bowl or the hometown Super Bowl.
Could be wild. Well, Daniel, thank you for coming out. We really appreciate your takes.
We get a little run there, but.
Yeah, of course. Friend Stream Sport. It's always a pleasure coming on. I'm still waiting for my merch though.
We'll bring it to you and we'll throw it to you like fish in Pike Place Market.
Deal. Thanks, guys.
Right. Thanks, Daniel.
Well, thanks so much. That was Daniel Mogg joining us. That was a lot of fun.
It was awesome.
That was a lot of fun. Maybe we do more Zoom shows. We have more drop-ins. We call it Friends Drop In.
Friends Drop In. Hey, we could be on the Danger Podcast. I hope.
We have to send him merch. So, and in the note we can then write, "We sent you merch like we said we would. Now get us on the Danger Cast."
Yep.
Because you said you would.
That's
leverage.
That's